Russia, a country in Eastern Europe sitting at 17 million square kilometers and 1/8 of Earth's inhabited land, which even today not only makes it the largest country in Eastern Europe and North Asia, but the largest country in the world. And it is here where the Soviet martial art of Sambo would be born. In the early 1920s, Viktor Spiridonov and Vasily Oshepyov would be the pioneers of the effective and deadly martial art, the latter having traveled to Japan for extensive training in judo by its founder, Kano Jigoro. After cross-referencing what the two learned as wrestlers, it would mesh into what would be known as Sambo. There are mainly two variations of Sambo, Sport Sambo and Combat Sambo. For the sake of relevance to today's episode, the latter will be the brief focus. Combat Sambo is specifically used for military training, utilizing strikes and grapples to the point of being very similar to MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. All types of strikes and grapples are allowed, save for a wrist bar. While Sport Sambo would be an official sport as early as 1938 by the former Soviet Union, it wouldn't be until the turn of the century in 2001 when Combat Sambo would be officially sanctioned by the International Sambo Federation, or FIAS for short, introducing the first ever World Combat Sambo Championship. Combat Sambo will be the driving force of inspiration for Team Ninja's male grappler, breaking new ground once again with the first ever Combat Sambo character in fighting games. This character would also play a pivotal role in the overall story, having experience as both a soldier and a professional assassin. His past, tragedy. His present, revenge. His future, redemption. He is vengeance.
I'm not hearing this.
He is the knight.
Shut up. Shut up!
He is...
You're not Batman!
definitely not Batman. As usual, the story will be based on Dead or Alive dimensions, with original story differences after the end of Season 1. Without further ado, this is the 7th episode of Dead or Alive Lore Explained, featuring the mercenary assassin, Bayman. A man shrouded in mystery that even his real name isn't known, Bayman serves as a professional assassin for hire, playing a key role in the biggest coup d'etat in the world of DOA, the murder of Doatek's father, famed Douglas. But after being betrayed and left for dead by the man who hired him to do the deed, he embarks on a never-ending quest for vengeance with all his skills at the ready. Cold, calculating, and strictly professional, Bayman is in a class all his own as both a mercenary and assassin, the latter in which he takes a particular liking to for reasons unrelated to money, especially for challenging high-profile kills and rarely missing his mark. He takes great pride in his work as an assassin to the point where he exudes in confidence, pretentiously telling his opponents to prepare themselves for death. And with that confidence is an unbreakable will, where even in captivity, he doesn't break his silence during interrogation. Bayman, standing at 6 feet 2, is a relatively tall figure compared to the cast we've covered so far, and with a muscular build, with slick-back dark brown hair, blue eyes, and a more square-shaped face with a distinct jawline. While most of his attire is befitting of his job description, his most iconic costume is his orange army vest over a black t-shirt, urban camouflage pants, combat boots, dog tags, and of course, the signature red Spetsnaz beret. The only other costume that comes remotely close is his black and orange scuba suit, which many fans call the Scuba Steve outfit. As expected of his martial arts style, Bayman is a heavy grappler, but unlike most in his category, he shares a variety of bone-crunching and realistically lethal defensive holds and parries, similar to Lei Fei, which are expanded upon with each sequel, making him satisfying to use for those who have the eyes of a marksman and can make good reads against strikes with accuracy. With a role that heavily impacts the story, a mysterious past, and a gradual road to redemption fueled by vengeance, Bayman is one of the more intriguing characters in the Dead or Alive series who is not yet fully understood. Little is known about Bayman as a child born and raised in Russia. The only memory of his past that still harbors on his mind is the day his parents were brutally murdered under martial law by the military, the circumstances which, to this day, are still unclear. Fast forward to his adulthood, Bayman ironically joined the military himself, becoming a highly trained soldier with distinction as a special agent. It is speculated that sometime around the age of 23, he would meet a much older fellow mercenary named Leon, but their connection to each other remains a mystery to this day. Were they comrades in arms, rivals, teacher and student? No one knows for certain. Eventually, he was discharged for reasons unknown and took up the occupation of a professional assassin, where he had been hired by one Victor Donovan. His assignment? The assassination of the founder of Doatech, Dame Douglas. Masquerading as an employee of Doatech, Bayman, alongside fellow British assassin Christie, was sent to fetch the female ninja Kasumi lurking somewhere near Mount Miyama, where the Mugen Tenshin reside. With Christie intercepting Ayane's pursuit of the ninja, Kasumi was coerced to board the VTOL, extracting her from the village successfully and taking her to the place where she would find the treacherous Raito, who crippled her brother Hayate. Unaware of Kasumi's abilities, Bayman believed the Dead or Alive tournament was a waste of her time. Christie goaded Bayman into testing Kasumi's skills upon boarding the Freedom Survivor, the yacht which served as a mobile venue for the event. Bayman lost the fight, and Christie would reveal to Bayman that she is in fact a ninja. After the opening ceremony held in the main ballroom, Bayman would keep an eye on Thane Douglas's exit to the VTOL, with Raito acting as his bodyguard. Before he could get a clear shot, Raito stepped in front of range, almost as if he knew he was there. Seconds later, Ayane and Kasumi attempted to ambush Raito, but failed. It was this moment Bayman knew he wouldn't have a chance to assassinate Thane Douglas without causing a scene. However, on the night of the tournament finals, Bayman would have another shot, no pun intended, at Thane Douglas's head, and succeeded with flying colors. Unfortunately, Bayman was left behind by Christie, as Victor Donovan never intended to pay him for his skills, but rather make him a necessary sacrifice to cover his own tracks. Despite this, Bayman survived Donovan's betrayal and vowed to pay him back in blood, ending the events of Dead or Alive 1 from Bayman's perspective. After spending the entirety of the events of the second Dead or Alive tournament in hiding, Bayman makes his move during the third tournament, only to be found out by Helena Douglas, the daughter of the late Thane Douglas, whom he assassinated. However, rather than attack Bayman outright, Helena makes him an offer to kill Victor Donovan. In a shocking twist, Helena knows Victor Donovan is trying to take over Doatech, and also trying to get rid of Bayman, but what Helena doesn't know is that Bayman was the one who killed her father. Questioning her resolve, Bayman tests her in a fight and loses. As a result, Bayman agrees to become Elena's bodyguard. Later that night, Christie acts on her plan to kill Elena a second time herself, masquerading as her assistant. Fortunately, Bayman stepped in and seized her before she could get that chance. During the commotion, Kasumi Alpha, a clone of Kasumi, overhears the conversation and concludes they're all planning to kill her father, in this case, Victor Donovan. Christie then gives the order to Kasumi Alpha to kill Helena, but she fails. Amidst the ruckus, Christie managed to escape Bayman, which forced a stalemate. Bayman's quest for vengeance was once again delayed, as the events of Dead or Alive 3 concludes from Bayman's perspective. The objectives of Bayman and the Mugen Tenshin would converge them to the Doatech Tri-Tower, the seat of the company's power, or more specifically, Victor Donovan's. After being extracted high atop the tower's heliport, Bayman would confront Zack, who was simply there for the sake of being. After a brief fight with an unknown outcome, Bayman would quickly part ways with him, entering the upper levels of the Tri-Tower. It wouldn't be long until he didn't go unnoticed, as Christie intercepted him, leading to another battle. Bayman is shortly captured by Doatech military and is swiftly taken to an interrogation room after being drugged.
生きてるうちに白状した方がいいんじゃない？どうなんだ？ そろそろ聞いてきたようね。
As this is going on, Hayate and Ayane are battling it out with Dotek military themselves, as Ayane used her ninpo to ignite immense energy with a wide blast radius, incinerating the antagonizing soldiers and aiding their own escape. The blast radius was so wide that it was about to reach the interrogation room, just as the Bayman managed to free himself from the drugging by stabbing his own hand. The interrogators then panicked, attempting to flee the room only to get burned by the ninpo blast outside. Kasumi failed to stop Alpha 152, leaving Hayate and Ayane to attempt to fight it themselves. Despite their failure to stop the superpowered Jello monster, everyone, including Bayman, managed to make it out of the Tri-Tower alive, as the events of Dead or Alive 4 and Dead or Alive Dimensions conclude from Bayman's perspective. 2 years have passed since the last Dead or Alive tournament, and Bayman has returned to his former life as a mercenary, forming a bond with new comrades in the Middle East. A perfect opportunity to have a certain cameo in the story who is strongly tied to this region, but I digress. However, the camaraderie is short-lived, as a cloaked figure with blinding speed attacked and killed the mercenaries. Wanting answers, he travels to the Freedom Survivor to talk with Elena about the incident, which she replies in having no involvement.
In any case, Dorotek has no involvement. At least not yet. Do you understand? Or were you hoping for something else?
So you're saying that whatever the people who have left Dorotek do on their own is none of your concern. Is that right? Whatever. By the way, is that girl your messenger now?
A few days later, Bayman would cross paths with Hayate somewhere in the Middle East. Bayman and Hayate engage in a battle of egos, having the same goal in dealing with Kasumi. As the battle raged on, Zack intervened with Ayane in tow, telling them that Helena has something important to tell them all with the Freedom Survivor, involving world peace. Bayman, having a personal unknown grudge against Zack, refuses to join them, and Zack takes it personally, leading to a fight.
But I won't be joining you either. I'm sure you're a fine pilot. You just creep me out.
Bayman defeats Zack and tells him to relay a message to Elena that he has other places to go, and by other places, he means Antarctica, where he suspects Kasumi will go next. Bayman's intuition proves correct, and Bayman pretends to be doing other things. Growing suspicious of his actions, Kasumi asks why he was following her. Bayman responds vaguely with deliberation, and the two briefly fight. Not too long after that, Ayane jumps in just as Kasumi leaves, then attacks Bayman for allowing her to escape. Ultimately, the end of Kasumi's trail leads to the Oceanic Oil Refinery, and in his stealthy pursuit, Bayman will encounter Christie. Despite having her at gunpoint in the shadows, Christie finds him out easily, blowing his cover.
Well, well. It looks like you got here first.
Bayman's suspicions were proven correct, for if Christie was here, Donovan isn't too far behind.
Seems like you had a bit of a slip-up. And I think that scar will be with you for life.
I guess I'm all grown up now.
If you say so.
I must have been right about this place, since you're here.
After Bayman defeats Christie, he confronts Hayate yet again in another clash of egos. After Hayate bests him in battle, Bayman decides to help him find Kasumi, whom they discover was a clone all along. Bayman then helps them get inside the secret lab, taking them as far as the elevator before taking his leave, ending the events of Dead or Alive 5 from Bayman's perspective. Having only a minor role in the 6th Dead or Alive tournament, Bayman doesn't show up until about the second act of the main story, during the start of the tournament, shortly after a brainwashed Rig confronted Hayate at the museum. Realizing that Miss has a way of immobilizing Hayate anytime they wish, Bayman insisted on letting him follow Rig in his stead.
That light, is that the Epsilon Lisa was talking about?
You? Lisa? Lisa Hamilton? You mean she's alive?
Yes, she is. And so is the data she stole at the risk of her own life.
Data she stole?
Go ask her yourself. I'll go on ahead and follow that guy.
Knowing Bass has connections to Rig, he meets him at a bar in a depressed state, and then this happened.
Just to let you know, we will be putting an end to your partner.
Huh? What kind of fool's talk is that?
Wow, just wow. Real subtle, Bayman. I knew you were a savage, but for a scene that's supposed to be serious in tone, this kind of borders on unintentionally funny. Next time I need an expert in bedside manner, I'll be sure to call you. Not taking his bluntness too well, an enraged Bass fights Bayman, resulting in the latter yielding and walking away, leaving Bass to his dilemma. He wouldn't show up again until late in the third act, after Marie Rose makes a desperate attempt to free Hanukkah from a blood extraction, which would result in resurrecting Raido. Just as Christie is about to kill the girl at gunpoint, Bayman deflects her handgun with a knife, giving Marie Rose a chance to escape while he fends off Christie.
Here, you'll have to be punished.
That's enough!
Defeated, Christie flees the lab, leaving Bayman to babysit Marie Rose as per request from her employer, Elena.
That won't help. Leave for now.
No! I'm going to save Hanukkah!
Such heroic nonsense.
Amusingly, Marie Rose resists and tries to go back to save Hanukkah anyway, leading to a brief fight.
You hit me, didn't you? How dare you!
Helena and I have a history.
I have to go find Hanukkah! Don't get in my way!
You serious?
After defeating Marie Rose, Bayman tries to talk some sense into her, and Marie Rose breaks down into tears.
There is nothing you can do now.
Once again, real subtle. Shortly after Raido was revived, Bayman and Marie would cross paths with Hayate and Kasumi, with an unconscious Ayane and Hanukkah in tow. However, Ayane wakes up from the coma as Raido approaches, but Hanukkah doesn't.
I'll watch these two.
Realizing the situation, Bayman decides to get both of the new kids on the block to safety outside, where Elena makes a timely arrival via VTOL, ending the events of Dead or Alive 6 from Bayman's perspective. While Bayman has become an important key character for most of the main story of the Dead or Alive series, his role seems to have lessened over time, especially in Dead or Alive 6, but his quest for vengeance against Victor Donovan still barely keeping him relevant. So aside from that, what other ways can they keep him interesting? Well, do you remember my final thoughts on Zack in episode 3? If so, you probably know where I'm going with this, but for those just tuning in, I'll get you up to speed. 1. Zack knew Kokoro for at least 10 years. 2. Kokoro is the illegitimate daughter of famed Douglas and the would-be chairwoman of Doatech Japan, Miyako, which may suggest that either Zack studied abroad or was in the military, stationed in Japan. 3. Around this time, Bayman met Leon, but the connection between the two is unknown. 4. Given Leon's familiarity with Zack in DOA 2, it's possible that Leon may have met Zack in Japan during his travels, but Zack doesn't remember. 5. At Dead or Alive 4 and Dead or Alive 5, Bayman, upon meeting Zack, shows a consistent feeling of disgust for him, which suggests something happened between Zack, Bayman, and Leon all those years ago. Of course, this is all speculation. With the direction the story is currently headed, it's the perfect opportunity to finally bring their past history to light. And who knows, maybe they'll expand on Bayman's past even further by finally exploring the depths of his childhood, and more importantly, his official connection to Leon. But until that day, as long as Victor Donovan is out there, Bayman will not rest until his debt is paid in blood. Blood as red as his beret of vengeance. That's it for this episode of Dead or Alive Lore Explained. Tune in next week for the season finale, as we wrap up the original cast of Dead or Alive with a wise martial arts master who fights for the noblest of causes. The one, the only, Genfu.
Oh no, I'm nothing special. Actually, I'm the best.
I'm Awesmic, and please look forward to the final episode of Season 1, Genfu, the fist that gets stronger with age. Happy listening.